Welcome to Scoop What Order. We just beat Indiana, sorta, kinda, 23-3. We're gonna break everything down. Not a great performance. I think there should be some heads rolling after this one. We're gonna get into it with Nevada Buck. Talk about what we saw, what needs to change, and how to get better. Flat out. With that being said, as always, we're very thankful and grateful you guys click like, click subscribe. Also, click the alert button so you can see when we go live. Appreciate you guys. We're going to take your questions as well. Get those questions hemmed up inside of our little feed. And also, shout out where you guys are watching from. Appreciate you guys. I hope you enjoyed Buckeye football today. That being said, going to bring in my good friend Nevada Buck. Nevada, your thoughts on today? Ugly, bad, trash. I don't know how else to describe today, but I'd love your input on that.
Well, can we put one myth to bed? There's a myth going around that we're in a better spot now under Ryan Day than we were under Urban Meyer. Can we please stop with that nonsense?
Okay. That's. I mean, if you say that, you're an absolute moron. But I'm just. I know you're not saying that, but it's like anyone that thinks we're better than we were under Urban Meyer, it's like, holy cow! Open your eyes, get a life.
Yeah, let's just stop with that stuff. Let's just kill that one right now. But look, I think we got to keep things in perspective. I've seen some really bad performances by Ohio State teams over the years that have resulted in really great seasons. And, the 2002 season was riddled with bad performances. The 2014 season was riddled with bad performances. So, so this is not all hope is lost. We can't be better. But I don't believe that. I've seen too much Ohio State football to believe that. Having said that, let's just be honest, and this will be the broadcast where we can be honest and we can talk to people and not just lie to them. McCord's not good enough to be the quarterback at Ohio State. He's just not.
Ooh.
And I don't care what Devin Brown does or what Devin Brown whatever. I know Devin Brown's been better than McCord in fall camp. Now, how much he's been better than McCord is that can be an open question or whatever. But like you just saw it, like even on that quarterback draw, where if McCord goes the correct way, he walks into the end zone. Like those are little plays, but those are plays that can break the game wide open, and we just never did it. And if Kyle McCord is our quarterback, I just like you asked who is he? He's Joe Bowserman. That's who he is. And the problem with Kyle is Kyle processes the information a little long, and then he's got a really long windup. And that's a bad combination. When you do that, then you're just a beat slow with the ball. You're just a beat slow to get the guys over the middle. You're a beat slow turning it out into the outside. A combination of being a beat slow and then not being enough patient to give Marvin Harrison time to get loose. I mean, it's just not. We are on the offensive line right now. As bad as the offensive line was right now, I really think that it was more. I think Jimmy Simmons was not good. I don't know what his grade would be, but he was not good. The game was too big for him. The game was too fast for him. He's either got to get better or they got to move him. Secondly, I think our play calling was terrible, absolutely terrible. And if Brian Hartline was really calling plays as a wide receivers coach from the sideline, then that's got to change, and they got to change that, and they've got to address that quickly. And then third, McCord is just bad. He's just not good. He does nothing at a level that we need him to do for Ohio State. So he cannot be our best option. He just can't, and that's just my opinion. That's where I'm at. I'm not piling on the kid. This isn't personal, but I think he's got to be better. I think. As bad as our O-line was today, and I didn't think our O-line played particularly well, I thought we had opportunities still. I predicted 35-0. I still think that the game could have been there. The game was a 35-3 game, 31-3, 34-3. That's where the game was. But it couldn't get there because our play column was so bad and our quarterback play was so bad. And that's just my humble opinion. I thought Chip was one of our lone bright spots. And I'd love to just bag it on Trey and say, but it wasn't just Trey. It was Mayan. It was 3.6 yards per carry too. So do both Mayan and Trey suck? No, I don't believe that. I believe those are guys that'll be on NFL rosters. And I think our offensive line blocking was just questionable. And every time we ran something with control. We like the first play of the second half. We show power right, and then we run a Mecca back to the left. We gain 9 yards. The linebacker for Indiana was just teeing off. 44 was literally putting his head down and running to the hole. He was just putting his head down and running to the hole. And when guys do that, you have to take advantage of that, and you have to abuse them. You have to abuse their aggression, because what happens is he was just beating guys in the hole and just blowing up our running backs in the backfield. And when that happens, everybody looks bad. But to me, that's play calling. So lots of blame to go around. Is all hope lost? No. Look, I thought our place kicker looked really good today, and I thought our defense looked terrific. And that's a very encouraging sign, because you can go a long way with a great defense and great place kicking. And I know that sounds dumb, but I was very, very pleased. Those were both A+ as far as I'm concerned. Even though Jack Sawyer and JT weren't A+, and I don't understand it. I don't think they played much better than they played last year. I thought they played much better. I thought the young guys were doing a better job out there than frankly than the older guys were doing. And so, look, that was a lot. That was a long. You guys got a lot of Nevada Buck. You speak right there, but I'll throw it back to you, Kirk. I'd love your thoughts.
I was supremely underwhelmed. I thought this was an opportunity to get one of those 56-3. Again, as much as I'm with you. I want to bag on the defense, but they gave up 3 points. And again, I think part of it's because Indiana is absolutely atrocious offensively. They're going through the 2 quarterback thing, no throw game. Frankly, I thought Carter Smith did a good job. A kid from Old Tangy Liberty, who's right from Columbus and started at left tackle, first career start. He locked up Jack Sawyer. I mean, I'm literally looking. I mean, you guys can go on ESPN.com right now, like the rest of us. Jack Sawyer and JT Tumalo, neither of them are in the box score at all. And they might have had a tackle, but I mean, Caden Curry, 4 total tackles, 1 tackle for loss. Hero Canoe, 2 tackles, got credited with a sack. Jack and JT, 0. Marvin Harrison, 2 catches for 18 yards. Emeka Igbuka, 3 catches for 16 yards. If you would have, I don't know what kind of odds you could have given me to say that 2 first-team All-American wide receivers would combine for less than 35 yards. I don't know. I mean, it was weird. We ran more double tight ends. I think that they were really trying to protect McCord. A lot of play action, a lot of slow developing stuff. But that's just not really what we're used to. I mean, that's not what Marvin Harrison and Emeka. I mean, you get Marvin and Emeka, man. Let's go. Throw it to him. Now I know, Kyle should add 1 more touchdown pass. Marvin stepped out of bounds on that one play. That's not Kyle's fault. That's Marvin's fault. But our stars, Marvin, Emeka, Jack, JT, didn't really show up. I mean, I don't even think Tommy's in here. Okay, Tommy's on here. Tyreek's on here, but our offensive line was bad. I mean, I'm just being honest. I was watching it. We missed layups time and time again. And again, people can bag on Trey, they can bag on Mayan, but if guys are running scot-free and hitting him in the backfield, there's nothing a running back can do to that. That's on the offensive line. That's on. We were terrible on our combo blocks. We couldn't get off to the linebackers, and a lot of it is because our hand placement is terrible as offensive linemen. And again, it was like that last year. I called it out last year. I'll call it out again this year. These D linemen get their hands into our guys' chests and they can't get off. And so all of a sudden, you have free hitters coming in the backfield. And so Trey and Mayan, they run these little stupid stretch runs in pistol. They hand it off, and then you see the guy who's the best player on the field by far is Aaron Casey, the linebacker who's the senior captain for a 5th-year guy from Indiana. 11 tackles, was all over the field. I mean, he was teeing off of that, like you said. And again, what play did we run that was right at the beginning of the third quarter? The play that we should have ran against Georgia, a jet sweep to Emeka. We literally hand it to him. He gets 9 yards, so it's 2nd and 1. But I just think that the offense was again, and I love Jim Tressel, but it was like Tressel ball. And when you have Marvin and Emeka, you can't run Tressel ball. You got to get those guys involved, give it to them. And again, they were making Kyle do his thing. Kyle is just not effective. He's not a great quarterback. He's checked down Charlie. And when you've got guys that are just absolute nuclear bombs. You don't need to use a water pistol when you've got the nuclear bombs in your arsenal with Emeka and Marvin, but that's what we were doing. Again, who's our leading receiver? Cade Severett. God bless Cade. 93, 98 yards, on five catches, but like Cade should never be our leading receiver when you have Marvin and Mecca ever. It's not like they don't have Sauce Gardner and Jalen Ramsey playing corner at Indiana. Like we should have named the score, but again, I'm not trying to beat these guys to death, but the O line play was poor, and a lot of it was technical stuff, a lot of just assignment stuff, a lot of just a lack of physicality. Like I didn't feel the offensive line. I know that like we talk about how that was the worst line play I've seen in years. I'm just being honest, and people can call me a hater or whatever, but like I've got eyes. I mean, film tomorrow should be absolutely brutal. I don't know if it will be because I know that we're in the summer of love and love is everything and love conquers all and make love not war or whatever our slogan is. But like I'd can all that, get back to like getting after these guys a little bit and actually grinding them. Nevada, who stood out in a positive way to you? Because there were some guys that Sonny and Josh Proctor I thought played really well, especially in the first half. I thought Davidson Igbenogson played well. Who stood out to you as you were watching the game? And I'm going to go rewatch it after this podcast and get a little deeper dive into it.
I thought Caden Curry played well. I thought Kenyatta Jackson played well. I thought Jaden McKenzie. I thought Hero Canoe. I thought Tommy played good. I thought Steele Chambers played well. I thought Jordan Hancock played well. I thought we did some really good things defensively. We didn't give them much. Now, like the pessimist is like, well, Indiana's a terrible team offensively, and that may be the case, but you can only play against who you're playing against. Yep. And I thought our defense, did a fantastic. And we gave it 3 points today, and I don't know how many first downs.
153 yards total. That's fantastic by the defense.
I mean, like, come on, like that. You just can't do much better than that. So yeah. I think the defense. But again, let's be real. Jack and JT weren't just like blowing past those guys defensively. And JT had one play on a bull rush where he got held, and that was fortunate. But no, I think defensively that's where the stars were. I thought Carson Hinsman did a nice job at center. At least the snaps were on time. I thought Kate Sover did nice. I thought G. Scott was decent today, and I want to call that out. I thought he did a nice job. But boy, it's got to be frustrating to be a wide receiver for Ohio State. And believe me, those guys will get frustrated if they can't get fed and they can't get the ball when they're open. And it wasn't just like it was, like a breakthrough every time we went back to pass. We had time to pass, and we just weren't finding the guys that were out there. And I can't believe that people weren't open, or that people there weren't guys that were better options than the checkdowns that we took. But I mean, look, if Kyle is going to be our quarterback, it's going to be a long season. It's going to be a long season. And today, I thought this was going to be a boring, grinding affair. I predicted 35-0. It was weird. We went tempo maybe 3 or 4 times today, and it was really effective every time that we did it. And I thought we'd do more of that. I really thought we'd do more of it, and we didn't. That was a shock to me, just as much as not playing Devin Brown. How do you not play Devin Brown? How do you not play Devin Brown? We know that Devin Brown balled out this fall camp. We know that. I mean, Ryan Day said that. Ryan Day also said that they would split snaps. They both play liberally. That was the game plan. That's what those guys were told. We know that because we talked to the kids. We know what they were told. How is Devin Brown feeling tonight? Like, hey, Ryan, what's going to happen? Oh, you're going to play plenty. You're going to play plenty. You get 3 plays, and then you get in with the backups on the final minute to go in the game. I mean, that's brutal, man. And I'm not just going to pile on Ryan Day, but dude, he has got to be better. I'm so sick of hearing about his winning percentage and how he's won something. He inherited a Ferrari, man. If they gave me this team and gave me like a 6-pack of Red Bull and a pack of cigarettes, I could have coached the team to just about the same record he's done the past 4 years, because this team was on auto drive. And now it's like, you got to make some tough calls. You got to make some tough things. this is what you do. You play McCord the whole game, and you sit Devin Brown after telling him he's going to play. That's wrong, man. That's wrong, and that's on Day, and that's wrong, and that sucks, dude. Personally, I hated it. I hated it for the team. You can tell they don't, they are not all in on the Cal McCord experiment. And Ryan's losing people when he says stuff like says stuff like this, and then he lies to them. That's bad. So I don't know what to say. I don't know how to sugarcoat what happened. Again, the performance we can debate. We can talk about this, that, and look. I think the performance will get better, but the decision to play McCord 97% of the snaps today, that is not defensible. That is not a defensible position. The only way it would have been defensible is if Devin Brown had been injured on that series, and he wasn't injured. That would have been the only way it would make sense, because it doesn't make sense, and that's on Day.
Yeah, and again, like with Devin, his one drive he gets it in the first half. The one drive he gets the competitive snaps, he hands it off twice, and then they call a Q run where Jimmy Simmons has the laziest attempt of a cutoff I've ever seen. Like, I would have benched Jimmy Simmons. Again, this is me, and I've coached offensive line at Ohio State, and I've played offensive line. If that would have been the backside cutoff by my left tackle, I'd put Luke Montgomery in. Or I'd have put in I'd put Fitzpatrick in. I'd put Zen in. But like, it was so lazy that it was disgusting. And honestly, again, and I'm not trying to call the kid out, but I'm like, that's not acceptable. And we're playing the worst team in the Big Ten other than Northwestern. So, of course we can get away with it. And, we're going to dink and dunk it down the field and get out of there with a little 3-touchdown win. But it's just, Devin didn't even get to throw the ball until the last drive. And he's throwing it to like David Adolph, who's a walk-on. Like, I don't know. Like Kyle, his ceiling is we end up being about 9-3, 10-2. That's it. I've been around quarterback controversies. I've seen quarterbacks that don't have it. I played with quarterbacks that didn't have it. And then I've played with quarterbacks that did have it, that won Heisman. So there's a clear difference. And again, I just think that, you have to be able, like a team like this, we should have beat 56-10 or whatever. And again, Marvin and Emeka having less than 35 yards combined, I don't know what kind of odds could have got on that before the game, but if you said, hey, those two combined for less than 50 receiving yards, there's a human on this earth that would take that bet. But it happened, because again, we were checked down Charlie. The running game, 4.6 carry, whatever. We were bad on switching twists again, which is a pet peeve of me that we had last year with Jimmy and Donovan on that QB draw. That was an easy twist to switch. If you switch it, Kyle McCord's moonwalking into the end zone, but we didn't because, again, Donnie, who I love, he wears 74 is my number, but he had his eyes closed again, like he did against Iowa when they had that twist, and we had that sack that turned into a touchdown because for some reason, like a simple twist, we treat it like it's the hardest thing in the world to stop, and it should take a millisecond to switch and pick up. Twists are, if you're good at playing offensive line, switching a twist is about the easiest thing in the world, especially when you're playing Indiana. You're not playing LSU, Bama, Georgia. You're playing, a bunch of guys that, frankly, we didn't offer a scholarship to a single guy on their entire roster. And I don't know if we'd take any of their guys in the portal, except for the middle linebacker, but it is what it is. I think, it'll be interesting to see what comes down. Again, I would rather watch paint dry than listen to what Ryan Day has to say at the press conference today, on Tuesday or Monday or whatever it is. And because this is going to be babble, it's going to be a bunch of, a farce, because I think that you need real answers. And you got to see, do we have a difference maker at quarterback, or do we just have a C-ish type guy to try to guide us through the season? And again, and that's fine if you have an overwhelming offensive line, but I just don't think we have that this year. I really don't. When we got to go play up in Ann Arbor, man, we better be way better than we were today. Because again, Ann Arbor's got real players. It's not these guys from Indiana who are a bunch of 2-stars that you wouldn't even look at. And I don't think any of these, they don't have a guy on their entire roster that took an official visit to Ohio State, let alone got an offer.
But Kirk, the first half, the Indiana offense kept their guys off guard, and like you said, nobody on the Indiana offensive line would even receive any consideration from Ohio State, and yet they went out there and they ran that triple option, and they made you protect the inside run, the outside run, the quarterback keep. They did something, and they kept us honest, and they stayed in the game. And it's like for Ohio State, we're like, we're going to line up and we're going to run right here, and Justin Fry is going to point, and we're going to run to this spot into the walled fortress. And it's like, this thing about Ryan Day, the great play caller and the magical, wonderful guy that can do it from the sideline while closing his eyes and eating nachos. Like, our play calling sucked today. It was bad.
Yeah.
And so whatever we're doing with Ryan Day calling the sideline, Brian Hartline, the wide receivers coach, calling plays from the sideline, that doesn't work. Okay? There's a reason why. Has any, you name, you're a football historian, you've watched all sorts of things. Can you name me a single wide receivers coach that's called plays for the sidelines in the history of college football?
I honestly don't think
football?
I don't think it's ever
At any
happened in the
level.
history of football. I'm telling you, and I've looked. I just don't. I mean, there's two position coaches on offense that have to be down on the sideline: receivers, offensive line. That's it. And you never have, it's kind of like we had the offensive coordinator / O-line deal with Bowman. We had it with Ed Warner. Done with Hartline. You can't have a receivers coach who's also the OC. It's always the quarterback's coach. And at worst, it's the tight ends coach. I think the tight ends coach is optimal just because really a tight ends coach, you could have the GA coach the tight ends. And then, if you're with the tight ends, you're part of the running game and you're part of the passing game. It's like when you're a receivers coach, all you care about is the passing game. But I've never seen a wide receivers coach be on the sideline trying to call plays and then try to manage your 3 or 4 guys. Because again, you're looking at Marvin. You're on the sideline. You look at Marvin, and it's just like Marvin's like, well, what am I doing? Why don't I sit out for the year like Jamar Chase did? I mean, I got 2 catches for 18 yards today. Like, what are we talking about? Hey, we got a super chat. Nevada, why would Ryan Day even put Devin out there? Clearly didn't have any intention of playing him. Thank you, James Jennings. Appreciate you. I'll let you take that one, Nevada.
I don't know. I mean, all I can say is the quarterbacks were told before the game that they were both going to play, and they were both going to play a lot. And then we go out there and see that. So I will just let those statements speak for themselves. They were told they were going to be playing a lot and playing when it mattered and switching off, and then we saw that. So either Devin Brown did something so bad on those 3 snaps that he had early in the game that he was benched, or Ryan Day wasn't dealing straight with him. And that's a harsh thing to say, but like, you guys can all see it. Like, there's no hidden, people like sometimes like, oh, there must be some nuance or there must be some hidden thing behind. No, you guys can all see it. Just look at it. That's what happened. Like, Devin Brown was told he was going to play a lot today. Do you think he played a lot today? No, I don't think he played a lot today. And, the idea that, well, he could have been worse than Kyle and could have lost the game. Well, then we should have lost the game, because I don't think you could do much less than Kyle did at the quarterback position. I mean, talk about minimize, you talk about in life about maximizing your opportunities or minimizing your opportunities. I mean, I think Kyle did the minimum you could do. I mean, he stood upright. He took the snaps. He generally got the plays in on time. He didn't throw any touchdown passes. He did throw 1 INT. He didn't. I mean, what grade does that get? A D minus, C plus if you're being super generous, maybe. I don't know. C minus. I don't know. I mean, I just don't know what to say, because when we're told stuff before, when the kids are told stuff before, and then it goes completely counter to it and against the game flow, because it didn't make any sense to bench Devin Brown in that situation, because it wasn't like Kyle was lighting it up. It wasn't like Kyle was making these great throws or these great reads or great things. And I'm telling you, he has got a long, loopy delivery. And when you have a long, loopy delivery, we're lucky on that one play that the ball they called the incomplete passes. I mean, I think his arm was going forward, but it was close. And if you're taking a long time to process it, and then you kind of take the ball and you've got that long, loopy delivery, man, I'm telling you, it is it's tough on wide receivers, and defenses love it. And They you can't fix that. That's not something we're going to be able to fix with quarterback coaching or anything at this point. That is who Kyle is, and I'm telling you, we have to make a change at quarterback, and Day's got to realize that, and he's got to go with it. He's got to embrace it, and if that makes me Mr. Mean, so be it. I've been called worse or whatever, but I think that you've got to, you cannot be that average at that position is 10x important in college football, and you just need to be better. And I think the only way to be better is to make a switch and commit to it. But that's
All
just
right,
my opinion.
I got 3 super chats in a row. All right, Mike Gillison, I've lost faith in Day, period. Kirk, honestly, do you feel this was dirty putting Devin out there like he did? I don't know. I thought it was a criminal what he did to Devin today. He didn't play him until they played him in like the 7th drive or 6th drive, whatever it was, and they played him the very last drive. I think just absolutely idiotic. I thought McCord was terrible today. I mean, I watched him again. It's all relative, because people like to make fun of Joe Bowserman, and Joe Bowserman absolutely stunk. I was on the coaching staff when he was there, but he was throwing it to like Verlon Reed and like Philly Brown and like whatever guys that were like undrafted free agents or guys that never even got a sniff in the league. Like Kyle's throwing it to Marvin and Emeka, who like my German Shepherd could throw for 380 yards, thrown to those two. So, and he's got Trey. I mean, and it was check down Charlie time. I mean, the guy that ate today was Julian Fleming because he was a little check down guy. So he had like 5 catches for 58 yards. Which again, it's almost absurd because you'd think like 50 yards would be like what Marvin would have on a single drive or a single catch, and it wasn't that. But I mean, it was like full check down Charlie mode. And again, we'll beat all the bad garbage teams in the Big Ten, but we actually have to play someone real. It's going to be a little bit tougher. So I'm going to plow through a couple more of these. Todd Doyle, appreciate you, my man. Reminded me of Bowserman and Miller's first game. I think it will be a transition over the first 3 games. I agree. I think that they got to play Devin. Like if I'm Devin, I'm like, what did I do wrong? I got in for 1 drive in the first half, and you called 2 handoffs, and then you called a Q run where I got hit in the backfield because our O-line sucked because Jimmy Simmons sucked on the play. So again, it's not rocket science. He did nothing wrong. Mello, appreciate you, bro. Zach Smith isn't a liar. He is not a liar. Kyle McCord isn't him, and I'm starting to question the day play calling, QB rotation. The wide receivers look pissed. The O-line needs a lot of help. I'm worried about the team and Day's leadership. Nevada, how do you feel about the state of the team and Ryan Day's leadership?
Well, look, I think these guys are resilient. Teams have bounced back from a lot worse situations than this one. This was just not good. It was not good, but I think we can be better if we are better with our play calling, which starts with Day. If we're better with our personnel, which starts with Devin Brown, and we may need to make one more change on the offensive line. I'd go to Luke Montgomery. I'd go to George Fitzpatrick. I'd go to Zen Mikulski at left tackle. I think we got to be better at one position on the offensive line. And I think if you change those 3 things, I think things can look a lot better for the team. I think it's weird to talk about the defense on a day where they only gave up 3 points, 153 yards. But I'm a little concerned that Jack and JT weren't better today. I am. I'm surprised, and I'm concerned. And I've been all aboard the Knowles Express. I've been telling you guys all off season that I'm going all in on the Knowles Express. Again, hard to beat. Too questionable. When you give up 3 points and 153 yards, but wasn't impressed with our starting defensive ends. And if those guys aren't dynamic, it's going to be tough against better teams because they need to be dynamic. But our defense can run, and they're athletic, and guys like Davison and Sonny and Josh Proctor and Steele Chambers and Jordan Hancock and Denzel Burke, man, they can run and they can cover. And we're longer and more athletic on defense, and I think that we got a lot of really good things. But man, if I saw our defensive ends balling out today, then I'd be like, man, this defense is going to be a lockdown machine, and that. But I'm a little concerned about that. But obviously, those are my minor concerns. My major concerns are on offense, and I'm telling you what, if Brian Hartline's going to call plays, I would let Bailey coach the wide receivers on the sideline and put them up in the booth. I'm just telling you, I don't care if he's the greatest position coach that's ever been. You cannot call plays from the sideline. Also, as we've seen that before. We saw that with Ed Warner where they tried to do that, and then they moved him up in the box, and it was like magic. Like the offense all of a sudden just started going crazy, and it was like, wow, that was pretty simple change. I think that's the 3 changes I would make. I would move Brian to the box. I would I would change quarterbacks, and frankly, I would change left tackle. I mean, unless there's something I'm missing, that left tackle performance was not good, and those plays were getting blown up from the backside like that. I mean, and just simple plays where it was just a lack of effort. A backside block takes no effort at all, none. It doesn't take physicality, it doesn't take athleticism, it doesn't take massive amount of toughness. It takes a minimum amount of effort. Throw your booty on the inside right there and make the guy go around you to the outside. I mean, I'm not telling you anything. I'm telling the All-American offensive lineman this. But I mean, am I wrong about that?
No, it's a joke. Like the one where we got stopped where Devin ran it. I'm like, I mean, he should either cut the guy. I mean, if the guy's flying through there, just cut him. He's down. He never gets to Devin, and Devin runs for a first down. But instead, it's like, we do everything the hardest way. We're so soft on the offensive line that it's mind-numbing. We're in these 2-point stances. Our hands are terrible. We get blown up in the backfield, and it's bizarre because like I don't think it's because the kids don't want to do it. I don't think it's because they're not trying. But we're just not a physical tough outfit anymore. We're not a tough team, especially in the trenches. And again, Jack and JT are kids that I absolutely love, but when you play Indiana, man, it should be like batting practice in the home run derby. It should be like, we'll see how many times we go, who's going to get to 3 sacks, 4 sacks. And those guys both got shut out today, which is stunning. I mean, dude, Carter Smith was making his first career start from Old Tangy Liberty, a kid that, we strung along and we end up not going on. And he ends up going to Indiana. He starts as a redshirt freshman, shuts down our projected first round pick defensive end, no sacks, and again, we didn't give him any sacks this game either, but Indiana's D-line is terrible. And also we ran play actions and 6 and 7 man protections and under center with fullback and tight end shipping. I mean, I will give them credit. They did protect the O-line a lot in pass protection. I mean, it was like easy mode, which is good. Because that was calling for. I was like, look, don't be an empty, don't be, and these guys get teed off on. But still, it just, it's like, God, when you have Marvin and Emeka, man, it's like, you gotta, like, get those guys the ball. And again, Marvin should have had a touchdown. It was his fault. He screwed up and stepped out of bounds. But otherwise, it's like, you gotta pepper those guys more, man. You don't need to pepper Julian Fleming and some of these guys. You got guys that are legit game breaker, top 5 type picks, and they just got shut down today. It was stunning. Stat lines, appreciate this. Haskins, 20 for 30, 5 touchdowns. Wow, that seems like a long time ago. Fields, 18 for 25, 234, 4 touchdowns, plus 61 yards rushing and touchdowns. Stroud, 13, 22, 294, 4 touchdowns. And then, McCord today, 20 for 33. So he had the most completions because he was check down Charlie, other than Haskins. And then 239, 0 passing touchdowns, a pick and an 8-yard. And honestly, that pick was one of the worst throws I've ever seen in my life. So, and again, I'm not being a hater, but dude, like, it's 4th down. You can't throw it deep, over the middle late. Like, I mean, it's like every negative thing you can do on a throw, he did on that play, and he got picked. So yeah,
now,
I don't.
Now let me just ask you, like with JT and Jack, and again, I'm not trying to be mean because I love those kids. They're like 2 of my favorites. But were they even close to a sack today? I mean, I know JT got held on that one play where he got pulled down, but other than that, were they even close?
No. I mean, I saw 0 slipperiness. I saw 0, and again, it's hard to compare these guys to Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa is a first ballot NFL Hall of Famer, but like, our guys that have been really good, Chase Young, Nick, Joey, they're slippery. They get off blocks. They get, I mean, because Indiana had 2 guys that had never played quarterback either. So it wasn't like they had Peyton Manning or Tom Brady getting rid of it in 1.5 seconds. Drew Brees. I mean, they had two neophytes playing quarterback. So I was like, I remember when we used to play teams like Indiana, it was like, okay, how many pancakes can we get? How many sacks can we get? It wasn't like about just winning. Like you play Michigan, you're just trying to win. You're trying to do whatever you can to just get to win by 1 point. You play the crap teams in the Big Ten, it's time to pad the stats. Okay, let's see how many pancakes we can get. Let's see how many, how bad are these guys? Because again, there's some teams in the league in the Big Ten that have 0 players on the entire roster that have ever had an Ohio State offer. So they have 85 guys on their roster. We didn't offer any of them. We didn't want any of them. You get up to Michigan, we've offered probably half their guys or a third of their guys. But in the Big Ten, I mean, obviously we don't recruit against many of these guys. Maybe Penn State's got a couple, but Michigan State and down. I mean, Indiana, like most of these guys we never even looked at. So you should be balling out, and we just didn't do it, which is troubling, disappointing. Again, 0 sacks. I mean, Jim Knowles at Oklahoma State last year had 57 as a unit, and then this year with superior guys, even with Mike Hall. I mean, Mike Hall is the guy that's supposed to be the dominator in the middle. 0 sacks. Ty League, Ty Hamilton, all these guys. So even getting home on a blitz didn't happen. So I don't know. Again, I'm not trying to just incessantly beat on these guys, but I expected rosier looking numbers, I would say, especially from the sack. I was looking forward to seeing more sacks, looking forward to seeing the ball get pushed downfield a little bit more with Marvin and Emeka. I don't know. So where do we go from here, Nevada? Home opener next week, Youngstown State, cakewalk, noon game. What are you expecting to change in the next 6 days?
Well, look, I think a lot can change with just a couple of key position changes, and I think we've talked about them before. But I think now that we've talked about all the bad things, now let's take inventory of the good. Okay, we're 1-0. We won a Big Ten road game. I know it's at Indiana. That's a really quiet place, and it doesn't count as road game, but it was still a road game, and
Yeah.
it wasn't a home game. It wasn't played in the friendly confines. I don't think we had any key injuries, which is really good, and we got a game under our belt that we could build from. And look, I've seen some miserable performances in Ohio State history. I mean, the Virginia Tech game in 2014
Nope.
was one of just an abject failure. And pick a game from 2002. I mean, just pick
All
one.
of them.
You know what I'm saying?
All of them. Yeah.
Every
All of
single
them.
one of them
Terrible.
was horrible. And that season is the most beloved, magical season in everybody's
Yes.
memories. So it's like, let's not get too hung up on what happened today from a bad standpoint, because I think it could be fixed. But Ryan Day, it starts with Ryan Day, and I've said this before, but the idea that Ryan Day was an upgrade over Urban Meyer is just a laughable proposition, and anybody who says that, I just can't take too seriously, because Meyer was an absolute demon out there, and just an amazing head coach and doing just amazing things. But Ryan Day is a smart guy, and he's a prideful guy, and he's going to look at this week and realize that you have to, you can't just continue with what you're doing after a performance like that. And that's the other good news. The good news is this is going to be a wake up call, and it could be a lot worse, because look, the defense only gave up 153 yards. I mean, how many times in Ohio State history have we given up 153 yards in a Big Ten road game? I mean, I bet
Not
it hasn't
many.
happened often. Not very many.
No.
I mean, maybe less than 5. I mean, this could go down as one of those things. And again, I don't care how bad Indiana is; they still give out scholarships. They're still trying.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So from a defensive standpoint, that's a winning performance right there. That's a winning performance, and that's what we wanted to see. Our place kicker kicked them all down the middle. Our kicks on the kickoffs were deep. Our punts were good, even though our punt coverage was a little I thought their running back, their punt return was pretty dynamic. So now we've got the issues that are on the offensive line, and I think that if we change a couple of positions on the offense, notably the left tackle and the quarterback, which are 2 really key positions, I think things can change. And I calling for changes after one game seems crazy, but it's not just one game. It's one game in an entire fall camp. I think if you change those 2 things, you can turn things around in a hurry. If you don't change those 2 things, the season could be up and down and choppy. But I think Kyle McCord is who he is, and I think he is who we saw he was today. And that you don't have to guess anymore about who Kyle McCord is. That's who Kyle McCord is, and that's not knocking on the kid. That's not thing. He's a better quarterback than I could have ever been in 19 lifetimes, and he could be a very effective quarterback at 80 schools in the country. But I don't think he's good enough for Ohio State 2023 for us to win. And if Devin Brown's worse than that, then I'm willing to roll with that. Then maybe it's Lincoln time, and let's roll out the Lincoln and let's go with that. But we got to be better at quarterback because we're not gonna win anywhere with that kind of play.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious. That's why Ryan Day went after Drake May so hard in the portal this year. I mean, he knew what he had at quarterback. He knew that, I mean, to get to that next level, I mean, you got to have a Quinn Ewers type game breaker, CJ Stroud type guy at quarterback. And again, I don't know. I have no vendetta against Kyle, but he was terrible today. I mean, I'm just being real. Like, I mean, you need a guy, because again, I always grade it versus, okay, who are you throwing? Do you have Marvin and Emeka, maybe legitimately the top two receivers in the entire country, maybe two at a very minimum. Marvin's one, and Mecca's in the top five. So rounding it out. So I mean, it's not like your hands are tied behind your back trying to throw the ball. But I agree. Like in 14, we stunk against Navy, gave up 370 on the ground. No one's feeling good. Then we lose to Va Tech at home. Absolute drubbing by Bud Foster. So again, things can change quick. Folks, I know a lot of you guys are tuned in. A lot of people are angry. A lot of people want their pound of flesh. Hell, I want my pound of flesh because I had to watch that. It was garbage. But, I remember I was in Vegas for the Cincinnati game against Ohio State. I looked at that big board and they were 75-1 to win the national championship. And guess what they did that year, baby? They won the national title. So I think that there's a lot of stuff to improve on. I think thankfully, especially this week, you have essentially a bye week with Youngstown State, a 1AA opponent who will blow out of the barn basically. But I just think that there's three areas to me that we just have to get a lot better. We have to be a lot more physical, which we're not. We're soft as can be. Like I would can the tough love, the we love, and big love, and love, and love is everything, and love is overcomes all. Or I'd can all that and get back to being physical in a tough outfit, which we're not. I would get back to pushing the ball to our great wide receivers. And honestly, you have to figure out how to get to pressure the opposing quarterback. Because I mean, we don't do that. Now, granted, we gave up 130 yards or whatever, which is fantastic, but that quarterback had to go down a little bit more. And we couldn't get him down on the ground. We couldn't beat Indiana offensive tackles, which is troubling. JT, who gets an ungodly amount of hype, preseason All-American, every watch list known to man, projected top 20-ish NFL draft pick. He just plays so invisible to me outside of that Penn State game. So, I want to feel that guy. I want to feel that guy be like the number one player in the country like he was when he came out, because I love the kid. I hear how great the kid is at practice. I hear how hard he is to block. But when the lights come on, like if you delete that Penn State game last year, he had like 1 sack in like 13 games. So again, it's not me being a hater, because the great thing about football is that like people lie, but numbers don't. Statistics, sacks, pressures, hurries, like not great. So we'll wrap this thing up. Nevada, what do you want to see us get better at as we get into Youngstown State? What do you project our timeshare at quarterback looks like next week? And any other final thoughts you have?
Wow, I mean, betting on the quarterback timeshare right now, I couldn't have been more wrong this week. So it's like whatever, fade Nevada in terms of my quarterback thing, because I was under the impression they were sharing time. They would be an equal timeshare.
Yeah, but you know what? So were they. So let's be fair. Let's be fair with it. They were under the impression they were both going to get to play. So
yeah. So I'm the wrong barometer in terms of that. I mean, look, I think teams make some of their biggest jumps from week two, from week 1 to week 2. I think we'll make a big jump, but I think we got to change some personnel, and I think we got to change some coaching responsibilities. I'm telling you, I've been on this thing. Brian Hartline, you want to be the offensive coordinator? Get your butt up in the box. We are so young in the box right now. It's like it should be like a daycare center up there in the box right now. I mean, have we ever had a a coaching box with less experience than we do this year? You tell me one. You've been around. You've been a player. You've been a coach. You've been
No.
in the box.
No,
You've been in the box.
I've been in the box next to the offensive coordinator. I've been the guy showing the offensive coordinator, this is what the coverage we're getting. This is the blitz we got. Here's your sheet. Tom Herman, Jim Bowman. I was in the box for 3 years, literally saying, this is what we got on first down. So we're going second down. Andrew Norwell fell down this play. He went the wrong way this play. Or Corey Linsley missed his block. Like I gave the full dissertation of everything right to the play caller. Because again, guys, you have to understand, if you can call plays in the box, it is such a massive advantage because you can script your drive, pre-script the drive every time you're going through it. You can pick out the plays. You got your little tick marks of what you've called so far, what worked, who you got to get a touch to. Again, it's a quiet, controlled setting in the midst of a hurricane, and you can't do any of that on the sideline. I'm sorry. Like, I know that, like, you see Sean McVay, you see Kyle Shanahan, you see these NFL guys doing it, but you know, and again, I can't stress this enough how important this is. In the NFL, when you're on the sideline, you have the little tablet, the little Microsoft Surface tablet, where you get photos and you get video. You know, I don't think they actually do running videos, but they get still photos where you can go over everything. When you're in college, you don't get that. So you're at the mercy of whoever's up in the box telling you the exact photo of what's going on. And that's the thing where I was frankly excellent at it, because I would draw every play, every time we'd run a play, I would draw the exact defensive front. I'd draw the exact blitz, the exact stunt, exact coverage. And then, you know, when it came time, when Urban Meyer would say, Kirk, what did we get on second down? I'd say, Coach, it was under, it was a 6 buzz coverage. Nobody came, AKA no one blitz. So it's like, you know, when they would ask me, I had that on lockdown, you know, and then I would show it to Tom Herman and I'd say, hey, this is what we got. This is what we need to get better at. This is what we need to fix, you know. Hey, stick with that play, Tom, because again, you know, when we played Purdue, the Purdue Boilermakers, and we sucked and we were losing, and Braxton Miller, who had nothing wrong with him, got carted off in an ambulance. We had to play Kenny Guyton, and you know, by a miracle of God, you know, Chris Fields scores a touchdown to tie the game, and we did a 2-point conversion to continue the game to Jeff Hireman. Like, I'm in that booth next to Tom Herman. We have a timeout, and Urban Meyer is like, Urban was like, I am looking at our offensive lineman's eyes right now, and they're screaming to run book, which was our tight zone play, which we ran. That was like our signature play, tight zone, run it up the gut. And I told Tom, I said, Tom, if you call this play, we're going to run it at Kewan Short. Kewan Short is a first-round pick. He's the best defensive lineman in the entire country, and we haven't blocked him all day. So if you call that and he destroys Norwell and Linsley like he's done all day, then we're going to have to walk home. You're probably going to get fired. Or you can call the play that we practiced all year, which was a tight end high play to Hireman. But I was like, if you call a run at Kewan Short, we're going to get fired. And guess what we did? We threw it to Hireman, and we scored. And we got to write books about that season, and we're the smartest, biggest geniuses in the world. But Urban wanted to run right at their best player. And I charted how many tackles that cat had made, and he knocked Braxton out of the game. And I'm like, that guy is the best defensive tackle I think I've ever seen. And he made like $80 million in the league. You know, and I study these guys incessantly to really know what's going on. But again, if I'm not up in the booth and Tom's not up in the booth, and I can't sit there and chart it and look at it and say, Tom, you know, in a calm, collective environment where we're not around Urban, there's no emotion involved, I just sit there and say, Tom, we're going to get fired if you run it at that guy. I'm just telling you. You guys are going to, you know, the honeymoon will be over. We're not going to go 12-0. There's not going to be stupid books written about how great we are. You're going to get fired. And instead, we did what we'd practice. And Tom agreed with me. And again, I'm not trying to act like I overruled Tom Herman, because Tom Herman was the OC. But I did at that moment give my suggestion: do not run at that guy, because he will kill us and we'll look like complete idiots. So again, that is the benefit to having really smart people in the booth that really have the balls to give real input to the play caller. Because again, I was just a GA. I was a nobody. I was a lemming. But at that moment, I was like, dude, you're an absolute idiot if you run at that guy, because he has kicked I can't say the words, I don't want to get demonetized, all over the field that day. So again, that's me. And again, I'm not your average beat writer, media guy, because I've actually done it. I've sat in there. And again, I think that there's a dearth of information coming from up top. And frankly, I don't know if they trust the information from coming up top because based on today, like we were terrible. We didn't really adjust that much, but that's just my opinion. All right, I'm going to wrap this. Any final thoughts of that? Appreciate all you guys tuning in.
Well, just again, run some constraint. We talked about running constraint. Run some things that take that go against the flow of the defense. Every time we did that, we were effective. Every time we used tempo, we were effective. We had stuff that worked. Just go to that stuff. And again, I think that Heartline's got to get up in the box. I think they need to look really hard at other options on the offensive line, and they have them. They have guys that can play. They just got to be willing to go to them. The transfer portal player or not, be darned. And I think that Ryan Day has got to cowboy up and go, man, I screwed up on playing McCord this whole way. That was a mistake. I apologize, Devin. I apologize, Buckeye Nation, and make it right next week because that was bad. What he did today was bad. It was indefensible and it was bad. Telling the kid he's going to play and then not playing him. Look, we've talked all off season about stuff that should have happened. People always make excuses for Ryan because Ryan's an advocate for mental health and he's a good guy and he's a family man and this and that. But that's all great. But we deserve better than what we saw today, and that starts with Ryan Day. He's got to be better, and he needs to look himself in the mirror, and he needs to be better because if he's not better, it's going to be a long year.
Couldn't agree more. Said it perfectly again. And the guy that really deserves better is Devin Brown. Like, what are we talking about right here? So, well, I'm going to wrap this up. We appreciate you guys. Go pour yourselves a nice drink. Have some chicken wings from BW3's, Buffalo Wild Wings. Do what you got to do tonight. We're 1-0. The best part about being 1-0 is a chance to go 2-0. So we're going to see that next week. Noon kickoff, Youngstown State, Big Ten Network. Hopefully we'll see more of Devin Brown. Again, we appreciate you guys so much. If you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, and also click that little alert bell. As always, we appreciate you guys rocking with us. Shout out where you guys are from. Shout out, what should the timeshare be next week for the quarterback deal? I mean, I thought we see Devin Brown at least 40% of the snaps. We saw him about 10% of the snaps, which I thought was atrocious. But would love your thoughts on that. Again, who is your MVP of the game? I got to give it to Sonny Salazar. It was fantastic today. Sonny Proctor, shout out Josh Proctor, man. He stuck around. He was balling. But yeah, give me those names. We appreciate you guys. We will be back tomorrow. We're going to go watch this game again and get a film breakdown for you. So appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Skip family. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Go Bucks.